Topic for this episode is, I'm actually going to let Fumi do that. Do the honors, Fumi.
Do the honors. But today we just want to pull back the curtain on a topic that, oh my gosh, it has been shrouded in a bit of mystery, a lot of denial, and frankly, some of us are just too silent. We don't want to talk about it. But if you are a Black woman, if you are in your 40s to 60s, 70s maybe, and those 3 a.m. waking up is real, the fuse is getting shorter. There are some things that you just can't you just don't want to deal with, or you're wondering why your body is changing despite doing everything right. This episode is for you. We are talking about, we try to take everything from the open to keeping the door closed, confusing shifts in intimacy, whether libido is something that you're thinking is totally out the door, or we're pulling back the curtain on menopause and perimenopause, just in case you're thinking, oh my gosh, where is Fumi going with this?
Welcome to the Aplomb Women Podcast. We're talking about something we all face but rarely name. Tough conversations, whether it's with aging parents, our careers, or even ourselves. These moments can feel heavy, scary, or just damn near impossible. But here's the truth. You are not alone. Over this season, we'll share stories, expert advice, and practical steps that help you move from hesitation to action. We'll talk about real life experiences from women in the diaspora navigating the pressures of family, faith, identity, and midlife transition. Welcome to the lounge. Sisters, let's talk. Welcome to the Sisters Let's Talk podcast once again. And I am Lucia.
I am Fumi.
And today we have a very special guest on the show,
Dr. Modupe Tunde Byass. And she is a medical doctor. Lucia will do the honors. But today the goal is to go past, that vague advice that we normally get from all our YouTube doctors and Instagram short reel things that we know about perimenopause and menopause, and we want to be able to give you the tools that you're able to advocate for yourself, and two, you're able to ask the right questions when you do actually go to your doctor, and three, be able to talk to your family, especially your spouses, about what really going on with you, and four, just to let you know that you're not crazy. Those are the things we want to help do on this episode. So welcome to the podcast.
So we want to welcome Dr. Modupe Tunde Byass, who is an obstetrician and a gynecologist. She is the president of the Federation of Medical Women of Canada. She's past inaugural president of the Black Physicians of Canada. She's the physician lead of the Early Pregnancy Assessment Clinic. She's also been the associate professor of obstetrics and gynecology of the University of Toronto. Woot, woot.
Toronto in
As you can see, there's a Toronto in hand. She is staff obstetrician and gynecologist of the North York General Hospital, co-founder of the Women's Health Education Made Simple, which is an NGO organization that she's a co-founder of. Dr. Tunde Byass is the recipient of the 100 ABC Women Award, which recognizes and documents the accomplishment of Black Canadian women. And she will be receiving this award that she will be celebrating on September 19th, 2026. So we want to welcome Dr. Tunde Byass to the Sisters Let's Talk, to the Black Women Sisters Let's Talk podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Such a great honor and privilege to be here. Thank you so much.
So thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we normally start with a quick icebreaker just to break things out. So this is a little game that we do on the podcast. So we'll give a word and we try, like Lucia doesn't even know the word. I am thinking of the word right now. So it's a word. And when we talk about this word, what other words come to mind? So the word for today is woman. When you think about the word woman, what comes to mind? Doctor, we'll start with you.
I always think about people who are strong and knowledgeable, adaptable, smart, able to do so many things, and resilient, protector. Just every good thing you can think of means that word woman to me.
Yeah, I like that. Lucia?
The first word that came is complex yet intriguing. I think those are the two that I thought of. Complex and intriguing. Yeah.
I'm thinking smart, beautiful, and yeah, the word complex did come. Complicated but simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a good segue to, as we are going to be talking about perimenopause and menopause for the women, a male had penned a note. This is, he had an observation, I think, from his own perspective of how menopause is affecting women generally, as well as from a male perspective. He was also speaking to the men as to how we should all look at menopause. And the second thing is from the culture that we all come from. So that cultural background. So I'm just going to quickly read his letter. He had written this letter and I'd asked his permission if I could read it. It's a brief one. So he basically was talking about menopause and also its effect on marriage. So he goes, many marriages do not collapse from one dramatic event. They erode slowly, quietly under pressure that were never named, never explained, and never prepared for. One of the most misunderstood of these pressures is menopause, compounded by outside interference and generational failure to teach women and men what to expect. Menopause is not just a biological transition. It is an emotional, psychological, and identity shifting season. By the way, he's not a physician. This is just his opinion. Hormonal changes can trigger depression, deep sadness, irritability, fatigue, and a sense of loss. A woman may look back and feel the weight of time. Years spent raising children, putting herself last, delaying dreams. Suddenly, time feels faster. Youth feels gone. Questions emerge. Who am I now? Did I waste my life? Is this all there is? These feelings are real. They are human, but they are also dangerous when misunderstood and unmanaged. Too often, women enter this phase unprepared because their parents, both mothers and fathers, have failed to tell the truth about what lies ahead. They are taught how to be good daughters, good wives, good mothers, good husbands, good to their husbands, but not how to navigate this emotional seasons, marital droughts, or biological transitions. So he says that a vulnerable woman is already questioning her worth and her past becomes easily misled. These voices, all good things, he says, comes when there's balance, and that will help to weaponize men and women. He used weaponize, as you can see, it's a man, and women in having a better marriage. So this is just a perspective of a man. Yeah.
And I think that is beautiful. I think so, doctor, just to start on this, I am thinking perimenopause, menopause 101 rapid fire questions. And we're not going deep into details. It's just somebody that is wondering, like, what in the world are these people talking about? So, for women in their 40s, let me see. So 35, 45, 50. Is it early menopause, or it is actually perimenopause, or it is menopause? What is it?
Well, foremost, I have to thank that man who wrote that letter. Because to be honest with you, if men can think like that, I think half of the problem is gone.
Exactly.
And for a partner to actually write something from the heart, is not a medical doctor, but he has touched on so many important things. I think this is the kind of conversation that we all need to have.
Yeah.
To your point and to your question about what is menopause, what is perimenopause, we're talking about a long span. It's not just one day that something starts to happen. Menopause, it's easy because if you do not have a period for 1 year, that's menopause. But before then, what are those things that are happening? And that could span 10 years before. The average age of menopause is 51. But if you take 10 years back, you're so right about that early 40s when you start to feel all kinds of symptoms, and yet you're still having periods. And to the man who wrote that, fatigue, you feel vulnerable. You look in the mirror. Is this me? What happened to me? What am I feeling? Why am I moody? What is going on? Those are perimenopause. Even before you know it, your husband and your kids have actually made a diagnosis, but they have not been able to tell you.
Yeah.
Mom, yes.
And your friends.
Yes, mom is moody. Why is mom snappy? At work, your co-workers are going like, oh my God, here she comes. So even before you know exactly what it is, the people around you that really matters to you, those people who see you on a day-to-day are noticing changes before you actually admit to why are you going crazy. So these things are real. Unfortunately, they are not talked about. And when you look at the whole thing, apart from what my fellow guy has mentioned, it could be hot flashes, or you're waking up at night, you're having disturbed sleep, you're tossing and turning. People even talk about changing the way their body smells. Mood changes. You're running to the bathroom. What's going on? How much more reduced sex drive? That's very important. You just don't have the desire. And when you have the desire, you are not reaching orgasm, and you're wondering what is wrong with you. You're losing your hair. The vagina is dry. You're staying away from having sex. If your husband touches you, it's like, oh my goodness, I need to talk to you. What's going on? Don't you know I've just put the children to bed? I'm coming from work. I've just, what are you asking me to do? All these things are happening, but you cannot even explain why you're so irritable. These things are very, very important, and this can happen before that magical age 51. That age 51 is just a number. It could even happen way beyond that time. Yeah. And of recent, a woman told me that she had frozen shoulders, and she did not know that that was also part of the menopause. Oh, wow. All those things are not written in books, right? So women go through these changes that are real, but they are not talked about, and neither do we even appreciate how much of changes we go through as women?
Correct.
Wow. So, second question. Can a woman in that age, considering you said 10 years, can they still get pregnant during that time? Like,
of course you can get pregnant.
Then how does your body handle all that? Like, we're going through this and then these other hormones. Like, what's going on?
Your hormones can be out of whack, but you're still ovulating. So you're still releasing the eggs. Mm-hmm. And remember, you only need one sperm out of those millions when you have sex. So as long as you have not stopped your period for one solid year, which is the menopause, you can still get pregnant. So you still need protection. Let's face it, women show up at the age of 47 because they've been missing periods. But hold and behold, they start to feel different, or they think there's something crawling inside their belly, and it turns out to be a pregnancy of 6 months. So you're still kind of fertile because you can still ovulate. Maybe not regularly.
I had a patient who was 50. She was 50-year-old, and she just thought, I'm just having some, maybe this is menopause, and she was pregnant.
But isn't this confusing? Like, so what is that stage that you like, okay, I'm still fertile, but I'm supposed to be getting done with this thing, or hot flash? So do all those symptoms go away when if you get pregnant at that time, like hot flashes, all the fogginess? I feel like pregnancy has all those kind of symptoms anyway already. So
those things can be confusing. And I think the bottom line is to see yourself as vulnerable that you can get pregnant until you have gone through that 1 year where you have no periods at all. The chances that you get pregnant is small, but it's not zero. So you still need some form of protection when you are having regular sex. Whatever you do, whatever you feel comfortable with, it should still be at the back of your mind that you can have this random pregnancy. So to your point, Fumi, it's confusing, but it's the reality. Lucia just said, somebody who is 50. Yeah, you can imagine showing up, being pregnant, and you have a 26-year-old at home, right?
That was exactly what she said. She came in, she's like, how? So I'm like, yes, you're pregnant, because we did the test and she's pregnant. I'm like, you're pregnant. So she looks at me, is like, how do I explain to my 27-year-old that I am pregnant?
Oh my gosh. So how can a woman, I'm thinking a Black woman, because sometimes you go and you're like wondering, is this brain fog, is all this night flashes and all these things? It's normal aging, right? Is it normal aging, or is there's symptoms that require medical intervention, or could I just sit this through because that is what my body is supposed to do? Like, what's your advice?
So we always say no two women are the same, right? So we all experience symptoms very differently. I have people who just walk in and you ask them questions, they have nothing, nada, no symptoms. And you have someone who is 45, has so much symptoms that it's debilitating and it's affecting their quality of life. So that's the important thing. How are these symptoms affecting my quality of life? Am I sleeping? Can I even drive? If you have not slept, how are you going to drive? If you have a brain fog, how are you going to function? And you still have the three works of different things that women have to go through. I call them the three burdens. You've got to go to work, the productive work, the paid work. you've got to come home to the unpaid work, cook, help the children, help your husband. And the third one, you still have to advocate for being a woman. How are you going to get all those things done when you have those debilitating symptoms? So if you recognize those symptoms, even if you don't know what it is, you need to have a conversation with someone, your healthcare provider. If your healthcare provider is good enough to do your blood pressure and pap smear, they should be happy to listen to those concerns that you have. But most women suffer in silence, try to think maybe there's a problem or they are the cause of the problem.
Yeah.
So they don't discuss these issues. Or if they discuss the issues, maybe they have somebody who does not understand or a doctor who is not aware of these symptoms and say, oh my God, you're so young. Or please, this is going to pass. Or go just sleep it out. Those comments are not helpful.
Yeah.
And they do not validate those feelings. So you need somebody who would listen and who would help you.
So who do we go to when those things happen? So like, yeah, if I'm going to see my doctor that I've seen whatever since I was pregnant, did all of that, yes, the OB-GYN or the gynecologist.
Your family doctor is there. You see your family doctor. Your family doctor is trained to listen and help you. If they can't do it, the gynecologist is there.
Refer to the gynecologist.
We now have nurse practitioners who specialize in menopause, because to see a menopause specialist is like looking for a needle in a haystack. The wait time is long, but there are people who specialize in that, so there is help. Not asking, I think it's the disfavor, and I don't think we should encourage women not to speak up. Even when you speak to your friends and someone's like, yes, I recognize that symptoms, I think that's what it is, then seeking help would be the next thing to do.
I think before we even go into, I know Fumi, you have some questions, just a few questions about treatment and what to do. I think because when I think back, I don't recall any of the women in my family or around me, even the older women, talking or having this conversation. Neither did I hear anyone saying, oh yeah, you're going through this and you're going through that. Even my mom went through, until I went into the medical profession, did I recognize that she went through early menopause. And she was having all these symptoms, and we all thought that she was going crazy, literally, because one second she would have this mood, the next second she's happy, the next second she wants the AC on, but no one really, there was no one, even for her. Well, for her, I think she knew because she was a nurse. But there are so many women who have no idea. And in our culture, a lot of things, no one talks about it. So without anyone being aware that, yes, as you just said, your friend might start recognizing, whoa, you might be going through, even if you don't, you might be going through, and not just dismissing it. Right. I think that's a very important, because even though we are in the diaspora, we can't assume that everyone knows.
Yeah. I think our parents, those things were not spoken about. Some were taboos. Some, if you don't have your period, is liberation. And looking back, like you said, I remember, yes, this woman must have been going through menopause. I remember one of my neighbors, she used to take off her shoes and put it on a cold cement. Like, oh my God, or she would say something just moved from my body, goes to my head and came back. I think those were hot flashes that were coming from inside her all the way to her chest and to her head. And because we're Black, You don't see the redness.
The redness.
You don't see the flashes. These women were just, nobody knew. And I wondered how our fathers also coped, because I don't think they knew what these women were going through. And looking back, no wonder some of those men actually ran away and they had younger wives. I'm sure that must have been part of the reasons. We don't know whether because my mother never talked about menopause at all. So I can't really tell you, but looking back, I remember that my neighbor, she used to come to my mother and she'd be describing some of these psychosomatic symptoms. I'm sure they were menopausal symptoms in those days.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now that we are aware that we're in, so the woman recognizes with all that we've talked about, the brain fog, the hot flashes, the weird things that are going on with her body. Now that we know, and we say, okay, I'm not going to keep this by myself anymore. I'm going to go see a doctor. What are we going to ask? One, because we might have a doctor that say, girl, you just stressed, go to bed, take a pill, go sleep. How do we advocate for ourselves? What should we expect from somebody that knows what they're talking about? What are those things that would be like, okay, I should trust you with this? Is there certain tests that we should be thinking, okay, this person is supposed to maybe say, go get this test, or is there something that they can refer for us to do? Like, what should we expect when we actually do go talk about it?
So when you talk about those signs, those menopause, and don't forget perimenopause, because menopause is easy, because then you can say no period. This is where it is the perimenopause that is very difficult, because your blood test may be normal. It may come back normal. So that is why you don't always need blood tests in the perimenopause, because if it's normal, it doesn't help your symptoms, right? So those symptoms are very, very important. Of course, there are so many other things. Thank God there are not many that can present with hot flashes, high blood pressure, all those things. So your doctor needs to listen to the history, make sure that there aren't other things that are causing those symptoms. Thyroid will be one of them. One of those things, we call them, maybe some people could be if they're having fever, if they're having weight loss, you need to make sure this is not cancer. There are other things that give you these bad hot flashes, palpitations, they make you actually unwell. So your doctor needs to exclude those things, okay? Especially if your symptoms are so bizarre and they are a lot. If all those things have been excluded, then most likely you're in the perimenopause. So you've got to describe all those symptoms that you have. Assuming you're told, okay, this isn't what you have, go sleep it out, okay? You should still insist and say, doctor, do you think this is perimenopause? Because I have colleagues who have gone through this exact same thing and they had somebody help them out. I wonder if you could reconsider and think about the fact that this could be my own perimenopause. Maybe it's presenting in a different way. We also have women who have premature menopause. They may have premature ovarian failure, which means these symptoms are happening in their early 30s.
Yeah.
So anything before age 40, it could be premature ovarian failure. Those ones, blood tests would be helpful, especially if they have a family history of that. Maybe they've gone through cancer treatments, or they've had their ovaries removed very early in their life, and they have not been on replacement, which I'm hoping not, or they have some autoimmune diseases and this is happening before age 40, those ones need special investigations. But by and large, the remainder of us in our early 40s before this menopause, those symptoms need to be treated. The question is, how can you treat it?
Yeah.
Right.
So are there natural things that we could be doing on our everyday life to help this, if medication
Absolutely.
or stuff are not things that we should run to if that's not the answer?
Absolutely. Not every woman wants medication first. They would ask you, is there something I can do? Number one is to tell them, don't blame yourself. This is life for us. Our average lifespan for a woman is in our 80s, which means a lot of us are going to spend 1/3 of our lifespan in the menopause. So we should make sure we get it right, right? So women will ask, what can I do by myself? If you can control this, put on the fan, how we say mechanical, you have a fan ongoing, you don't put on too many layers, okay? Dark clothes, those things that will absorb heat, avoid those things. If you're a smoker, alcohol, it's one thing, right? Exercise, eating healthy, building your own bones, taking your vitamins, eating well. Those things are lifestyle changes that we must be doing anyway, right? This is just normal things that we do. You're going to try that. If those things don't work, women want to try maybe naturopathic things. There are things like black cohosh, right? Which, people have used in the past. They've used all those herbal remedies. I don't think we need to discard them. If they help you, why not use them? Soy-based things, you can definitely use those things. So when those things don't work, you need to be honest with yourselves and say, well, I'm still going crazy. My husband is feeling so cold when I open the windows and I put on the AC, or I open the freezer. I want to sleep in the freezer for 1 second. I shut it down again. You need help. So that comes to medication. I mean, honestly speaking, we've got to move on to the next thing. And you also have to trust your healthcare provider when they start saying, okay, Fumi, you've tried everything. This is 1 year, 2 years. You still come here looking tired. You still come here. Everybody, the kids are complaining. It's time to move on. Yeah. So that's when we start talking about medication.
Okay, doctor. I know we have to let you go, but this is very important.
I will finish all those ones.
Join us next time as we conclude our conversation with Dr. Tunde Byass. She answered all our questions. Type in the comment box your stories or experiences with perimenopause or menopausal symptoms. See you then.